Everyone. My name is Gavin Claus with LogiStar Solutions, and I'm going to be your host for today. I think we put together a pretty informative session to focus on SAP Extended Warehouse Management Solution and how that relates to the retail industry. Certainly, while the retail industry is unique with certain industry-specific requirements within a warehouse, such as merchandise cross-docking, store allocations, the industry in general is known for having some of the highest volume distribution operations. So it's certainly a topic that we'd like to cover and highlight in those areas. Today we're going to start with a quick introduction on who LogiStar is. Then we're going to move into an overview of SAP Extended Warehouse Management and the retail supply chain vision. And then we'll move over to Heather Krupp with Harry and David, who will share some of their experience and lessons learned from their implementation of SAP Extended Warehouse Management to support their direct-to-customer, wholesale, and retail distribution operations. I'd like to take time right now to go ahead and thank Rod and Heather for their time today, and looking again to a very informational session. For all the attendees on the line today, you are going to be receiving an email with a link to the recording of this session. As well, we're going to send out a PDF copy of the presentation, so you'll have that for your records. And for those of you who have colleagues that might have missed the presentation, you can go ahead and share that link as well as the presentation. And then there's other webinars available online at www.logi-star.com. A few housekeeping items before we get started. During the presentation, please submit questions via the chat feature on typically on the right-hand side of your screen. You'll be able to respond in line, and what we'll do is we'll pull those questions and answer those at the end of the presentation. If for some reason we don't get to that question due to lack of time, or if you come up with questions afterwards, please feel free to send those to info@logi-star.com, and we'll share that email address again at the end of the presentation. So let's get started here. So LogiStar Solutions is a solutions-focused company. We're an SAP systems integrator that really focuses on supply chain execution for SAP. So we're what you may call a boutique consulting firm, but we maintain the deepest experience in North America in extended warehouse management, and transportation management. So really, we do one thing and we do it well. And this is really validated by our customers, such as Harry and David, as well as SAP. And as you can see on the slide here, with our certifications, many of which are unique to us, including certified EWM RDS partner, but we're also a services partner, special expertise partner, and we participate in the pre-release testing of extended warehouse management every year in Waldorf. When we take a look at LogiStar, again, being solutions-focused, we have industry expertise but are not industry-focused. So that means we really work across any vertical that is shipping or moving product. So that includes anything from pharmaceuticals, medical devices, all the way through wholesale distribution and retail operations that we'll hear more from today. So with that said, I'd like to go ahead and hand the presentation over to Rod Strata from SAP to provide us with an overview of EWM for the retail environment, as well as the vision for EWM in retail.
Thank you, Gavin, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Certainly, to Gavin's point, LogiStar is a very trusted partner for SAP, extremely experienced and deep domain in not only warehouse and transportation operations, but specifically to SAP EWM and our supply chain execution solutions. So what we wanted to do this afternoon is briefly go over our strategy and overview for SAP Retail, and then I just want to hone in at a high level on our progress and our momentum around EWM. So when we look at a better run world, I know this may seem grand and broad-based, but when we look at how we help our customers go to market and our customers' customers, basically getting around our vision of helping the world run better and improve people's lives. And and not necessarily from a a criticality perspective, but from a how do we make the world move faster, more efficient, and really provide a better customer experience in retail. As we move, as most people understand in retail, it's a very fast-moving world right now, different channels, and we look at omni-channel and all the things that support it, making the world run better and improving everyone's experience is certainly part of our vision. And of course, our mission is to help organizations become best-run businesses. That hasn't changed. And of course, as most companies, we have a growth plan of getting to $20 billion in revenue by delighting our customers and getting more people using SAP solutions on a common platform as we go forward. So as we translate this into our retail business, as we look to improve people's lives, well-being anywhere and everywhere, we want to raise the living standards of all parts of the world. And with that, working with 100 million customer profiles in retail, right? Promotions are the lifeblood of retail. With 500 different types of promotions, 500 million promotions, a billion touch points, and then of course promoting sustainable trade and trusted business practices, reduce waste, and all that comes around optimizing and again focused on delighting the customer and inspiring those people that service the customers every day. So as we drive innovation and value for the retail industry, again, you hear a lot about customer experience, and you as customers on this call, really that is how we all enable our livelihood in retail, is ensuring that your customer and you as our customer are extremely pleased with the customer experience and want to keep coming back to that captured audience, right, of the consumer to ensure that things are personalized, that we have a good personalization out there for the customer. We know them when they come in the store. We know them when they do purchase, and make it real-time and relevant. I mentioned a minute ago omni-channel. Certainly multiple strategies of a customer buying online or a customer walking into your store, making that seamlessly to have endless aisle strategies, so understanding that what that customer's profile is and going forward the same way if they bought online or in the store. And again, I won't go through all the statistics, but you'll see them here and you'll get this in the presentation. 53% of all U.S. sales will be influenced by the web. 48% of reduction in share of operating profits come from consumer goods. You look at 1999 to 2008. And many shoppers are going in social, right? Finding basically deals on Facebook. So there's quite a bit of change and velocity happening in the retail industry. With that, again, our theme comes down to, and our strategy is real-time retailer delights the segment of one. So when it comes to web and socials, I just mentioned, loyalty management, pricing and promotions, inventory, which we'll talk deeper today around extended warehouse management, again to the personalization, reordering, and then the clienteling applications as customers move into the store. So with this, SAP, as part of our vision, we have come out with a customer activity repository, the CAR, as you'll hear the acronym, working with us around working with merchandising, the buying, the orchestrated supply chain, which again we're going to focus on today, and the omni-channel experience. So again, this is part of our vision and part of our platform strategy and solutions going to market. We have a retail industry value map specifically for retail. So this isn't a manufacturing solution value map based for retail. This is purely retail. We have a global retail vertical focused on nothing but totally centric retail business processes and optimization. And what we're going to talk about today, if we look at all the different retail cornerstones for our value map and solutions, we're going to talk more around the customer-driven supply chain. And our best-run retail customers, right? Harry and David being one of many, and an excellent customer to work with in our supply chain execution and extended warehouse management. But overall in the world, we're touching around $12 million of consumer purchases. We represent about 85% of the top 100 value brands. And of course, our customers sell more than 71% of the world's food product, and so on. So you can see a few of the logos below. And when we get into supply chain execution, of course, Harry & David is one of our premier retailers in around extended warehouse management and supply chain execution. So when we talk about supply chain and we go down into extended warehouse management, the businesses are growing very, very rapidly, and they're getting more challenging, as everyone on this call understands. And it may be a mom and apple pie statement, but it's truth every day around efficiency and expectation. I know as a consumer, when you go online to buy something and you want something, you want it when you want it. And if you don't get it, then that's not a very good customer experience. So velocity comes in, shorter cycle times, and of course, value is a big part of this while being compliant. So getting down into SAP EWM, our EWM solution provides a comprehensive end-to-end stock and process transparency through the supply chain manager, through warehousing supervisor, through analytics, all the way up through your executives and management to truly understand from an actionable visibility perspective how you manage your warehouse, your demand, and your flows throughout your supply chain. With that, we have built-in optimization, again, which every warehouse management should have, around weight management, labor management, and slotting. So again, everyone on this call is very familiar with this, around weight management, optimizing the orders, labor management, reducing labor costs, slotting, advanced storage concepts, and ensuring that you maximize your space and your efficiencies within a warehouse, and of course, cartonization as shipments and orders become with more velocity. Some orders are becoming much smaller, right? And there's more personalization in those orders, and the different style, color, size. So when we look through the automated, the cartonization is important as well from an automation perspective. And when we look at our leading edge warehouse and technology, and it's not just us, right? When I say we, it's the analysts, it's our customers like yourselves that really leverage our technology integration through material flow systems and, of course, the native technology integration. So the difference I would articulate here is not native technology interfacing, native technology integration to mobility and RFID, pick by voice, programmable logical controllers. So anything from an automated warehouse to a non-automated warehouse to a warehouse that's highly technological in nature. And continuing that native integration is with the SAP Business Suite. Now, we do have EWM can run as a standalone as well. However, for those customers that run SAP, we have a very comprehensive real-time integration process through our sales and distribution, our procurement, SAP manufacturing, health and environmental safety, and of course being compliant with global trade services. So for our customers running merchandise planning on retail, our customers running promotions, we have an omni-channel, we have a very comprehensive native integration. So therefore you have instant visibility, real time, into your order status and your planning and your warehousing processes versus going batch and having any lag in your supply chain. And of course, as Gavin mentioned at the beginning, EWM, we do have specific tailoring for EWM in retailing. However, EWM goes across many other verticals as well, and each one of those verticals has specific workflows and specific functionality that makes sense in those various industries, including, as you mentioned, like transportation, logistics, high tech, consumer products, automotive, et cetera, as we work with our customers, because we cannot have a vanilla solution, even though the solution is right off the shelf and programmable, but we have industry-specific flavors for EWM. And, oops, I went a little too fast. My apologies. So when we look at, what I'd also like to talk about at EWM is our rapid deployment. So we have a rapid deployment methodology at SAP for certain portions of EWM and EWM functionality for our customers that want to get started quickly in certain portions of your business and focus on certain business outcomes versus a larger deployment. So we call, our rapid deployment solutions. We can deploy in 8 weeks or less. This is an option with using SAP EWM. We have a clear entryway to innovation. We can do a fixed price on the implementation. And with this comes value sooner, ROI sooner, and it's modular and integrated. So some of the just real quick facts of EWM and rapid deployment. Right? We can set up a sandbox for you, our customer, get into a rapid deployment around total cost of ownership, flexible pricing, and you can see here where we have inbound processing, storage and operations, outbound processing, all within our rapid deployment solutions, which Logistar, by the way, is certified to deploy for SAP. And what this does is give you, the customer, a much more rapid time to value, depending on your business process and your workflows, and inside your organization and how your warehouses are set up. So we can take extended warehouse management, deploy RDS solutions, rapid deployment. We can deploy them sequentially, so you can get basically garner value and operational processes along the way as an option when we look at driving value for your organizations in retail. And these are, I'm not going to go through all this. These are the solution details for EWM around RDS, rapid deployment. And you can see based on the versions that some of the customers on the call today may have, or going into our latest versions of 9.0 and going into 9.1, you will see some of the capabilities in which are used in RDS. So quite a few are used in all of them. And lastly, I'm going to finish up before I turn it over to Heather. This is just an overview of where we are in the market for EWM. Certainly there are best-of-breed companies out in the market that do a very good job and have focused on retail for many years. However, SAP, through our innovation and our commitment to the market, just so everyone knows that supply chain execution at SAP is a highly important board-level investment. And as you know, larger companies like ourselves, we have many solutions in the market, and we have competing dollars for some of those solutions. And at SAP, our investment in supply chain execution, including EWM and transportation management, which EWM is fully integrated with, is very high on the board. It's been very high in our board investments. Therefore, we have had some great momentum in the market around adding customers daily and weekly. We've had over 200 active customers added in 2012. We have quite a few more added this year. We have over 500 live customers. Now, for those of you who think SAP and think EWM, you might be surprised, but we do a very good job in this market, in which Heather is going to articulate here in a moment. And you can see we're basically doing this globally. And lastly, we're building this on our supply chain execution platform, right, for your business. So whether it be for the retailer, yourselves, integrating with freight forwarders, the vendors, your customers, and of course the asset-based carriers, we have made, as mentioned, we continue and made a major investment around this, around EWM. We've also continued our customer innovation through our executive councils for supply chain execution, for both extended warehouse management and transportation management. And of course, as mentioned, we are moving fast and diligently as we learn and grow with our customers as yourselves, growing the market and the momentum in the market to provide you, everyone, a very innovative and quality solution going forward for EWM. And with that, I am going to thank you for your time and the opportunity to present. And I'd like to turn it over to Heather from Harry and David, because I imagine you want to hear best from our customer to let you know how they're using EWM and the success they're having in the real world environment.
Thank you. As mentioned, I'm Heather Krupp. I'm the manager of our SAP applications at Harry and David, and I'm going to walk you through a little of our background with our history in SAP, and also then our journey within the EWM solution. So under the Harry and David umbrella, for those of you who don't know, we also have two other brands, Wolferman's and Cushman's, that we incorporated into our solution. So a little about our history. Our founders, Harry and David Holmes, came to the Rogue Valley of Oregon in the 1920s and started planting pear trees and had a great business going for that. And then the Great Depression hit. And as they saw people didn't have the money, so they decided, well, what can we do with this business plan? And they took trips to New York and San Francisco into the captains of industry, such as the Rockefellers, and said, wouldn't you love to give these as gifts to your family and friends for the holidays? And that was the start of being the premier direct marketer of fruit and food gifts. We're proud to be one of the nation's oldest mail order catalogs. We still do a large amount of our business through the mail order, as well as, of course, our e-commerce channel, our stores, wholesale, and direct marketing call center. Harry and David is vertically integrated. For those of you who don't know, we still grow all of the majority of our fruit. We have our bakeries. We manufacture the majority of our gifts. Our order entry and fulfillment is all done through our distribution centers. We have catalog, e-commerce, business-to-business that falls under direct marketing. And then our stores, which hopefully many of you know, outlet stores. And at this time of the year, you'll probably notice in your retail centers, our pop-up stores and our kiosks are starting to open for the Christmas holiday. And so those are a very key part of our Christmas holiday. We also have wholesale, so you can go into some of your local retailers and you'll see our Harry and David products there. And as I said, our manufacturing operations. A little bit about our history. In 2006, we decided we wanted to implement a state-of-the-art ERP and warehouse system to replace a very old mainframe MRP and purchasing system. At that point in time, we had the intention to go forward and retire one of our WMS systems and put it on SAP. We also needed to enable a solution for our wholesale division, as that was growing by leaps and bounds, and we needed something that could really truly support the entire operation. Excuse me, and improve our customer responsiveness, because for Harry and David, the customer is everything. Our business at that time was growing, and we wanted to increase product design and replan manufacturing on the fly. We couldn't do MRP runs ad hoc as we wanted to. There, on our mainframe system, it was a weekly batch job. We couldn't evaluate cost variances and different things. Everything was batch, nothing was real time. And to that point, we had numerous solutions from the IT point of view that were supporting different areas of the business. So as you can see, we went in February of 2008 with the ECC solution for ERP. And as I mentioned, we wanted to replace our warehouse management system here in our headquarters. You notice that WM is not on this list, as well as everything else. At that point in time, WM didn't have everything that we needed to fulfill our business needs based on what the business already had. And so we put that on hold and continued to just interface our WMSs. So a little bit about the background of our IT environment before I get into our EWM implementation. We have a order entry system that is not SAP that feeds all of our orders into SAP, and numerous side systems from the business that we need to consolidate into one area. And that's where we're headed with the SAP systems. Our WMM systems, when we started this project, we had basically three. We had our Catalyst warehouse management, we had Red Prairie, and then we had a custom warehouse management within our retail solution for our stores that didn't have much functionality, but at least it had inventory. And then we had all of the interfaces going back and forth between these systems to make sure we kept everything in balance. So we decided we really needed one solution for warehouse management. We needed everything that they had already, and we wanted one solution. So we needed something that had visibility to every location we have, and we needed to have the integration between manufacturing and our warehouse. The other thing with the old systems, obviously everything was license plated, tracked through RF. They weren't going to, they said there was no way we could give that up. And also wave creation and assignment was another big thing that they said we cannot do without. The other things they wanted to improve were inventory transfers between our different locations across the country. And then we also wanted to improve our batch control so that we knew exactly what was going out to our end customer. So part of our rationale for selecting EWM, it was now a mature system. When we looked at it in 2006, it was just getting off the ground, and we didn't want to be the first ones out there and on a brand new system. When we started looking at it again, we were obviously much more familiar with SAP, and EWM had made major improvements. We wanted to simplify the IT landscape. I have a group of development staff who was now comfortable with SAP, and that meant I could make sure that we had a much broader group of people to help support the business. And then there were things we wanted to get out of it that they may have been available in the other systems, some were not, but some of those were the labor management, obviously the license plating, value-added services, which we'd never used before, cross-docking, which was available but we never used, and some yard management capabilities that we're just starting to dive into. So we wanted to provide the business with the ability to manufacture and fulfill in the quickest, cost-effective manner, obviously to get our customers what they need, when they need it, at the least cost to us. We also needed to utilize our current RF infrastructure, which we had several different things going on. We had broadband, we had narrowband, we had all sorts of different RF devices, and there was not the budget to go ahead and replace that. We also have kind of a different timeline because this time of year during the Christmas holiday season is the busiest time for us. And so basically the project quiets way down at that point in time. And so you can see there was some lag there. We did plan a go live in July of 2012. We actually delayed that until 2013 based on some training and performance issues, and that was the best decision that we made as we had a very smooth implementation. So just a few of the processes that we're going through I know a lot of them. I'm not an expert from the business side, but we do have some different things that we're doing. Some of our inbound processes, we grow our own fruit. So we have some different things we do for receiving our grown fruits, and it's not coming in on a PO. It's not, we don't know how much we're going to receive. We did some customizations around that, as well as we obviously receive from external vendors, we receive transfers, we do subcontracting, and then we have a big transfer stage process that is very, very important to the business. Our outbound processes, obviously we have our outbound DM process, which is the biggest that we do, which basically every order that comes in through our call centers, our e-commerce sites, are sent out as an individual package. We consolidate those down in the warehouse for efficiencies and then send them out. We have our wholesale division that is shipping out to our customers. We have our stores, which we were never in SAP before. The actual stores are still not, but our DCs for our stores are now fully encompassed within SAP and specifically EWM. All of our outbound transfers are running through EWM. And then all of our now shipments and TU integration, ECC and EWM are extremely tightly integrated, and that's one of the benefits of the system. And then we also have wave management. That was something they did not want to give up. That's how they plan all of the warehouse work. And so we have two different ways we're doing it. We have automatic wave release for some of our DM processes, and then they have manual wave release for some things they want to control in other areas. We also have two different ways we're picking. We're doing one-step picking for certain products, and we're doing two-step picking for others. So we are using process-oriented storage control in some of our outbound processes. And by that, we're allowing the material to determine which sequence of steps we're using. And they can be monitored through the EWM monitor as it's happening. Handling units are required for this, so we can track everything going through. So this kind of gives you a little bit of an overview of, from a graphical point of view, it considers the physical layout of the warehouse and uses different pick points with transfer stage areas to go ahead and take stuff from one spot, drop it off, and have another driver come pick it up. Another thing we do is we've got now packing centers that we're using for some of our processes. So we can take product and bring it to a packing center, do a value-added service on it, and then send it out to our shipping docks. Some we're using straightforward pick areas for our direct marketing, our heavily used materials, that they're just going straight from a forward pick area to a staging location and right onto the truck. Big benefit that we're hoping to get out of EWM is the labor management. While we had labor management in one of our facilities, we did not in the other, and we're just taking the first steps of getting that into the system to start tracking people's labor, where we have basic standards turned on right now. We're not doing engineered standards because, as I said, we didn't have labor management before. We didn't want, to take those steps, but this is the first part of getting to those engineered labor standards for this. But it also allows us, we can capture all of their direct versus their indirect time, which we never had before. So if they have a meeting to go to, if they're going to sweep the floor, if they're taking a break, they can log all those things on the RF, and it's all captured within it, and then we can go ahead and look at those plans and see how people are doing, and should we start looking at a performance bonus or things like that that we can maybe incentivize our workforce with. Another big thing is our work centers are now warehouse managed. The old system, the work centers were all in ECC, but once they left our warehouse, we lost total visibility of the actual HUs that were on it. We knew the materials that were there. Now we've made production supply areas for all of our production areas. They come out of the warehouse, they stay HU managed, they go into the new products, and then they go back onto HUs, go back into the warehouse. So this is a very valuable thing. Don't get me wrong, it's very challenging. We are seeing, you know, there's a lot more that has to be done to have your production areas managed this way. But the benefit you get out of it is that you can actually see it. So as it's a new process. It's through our production time this last few months, they are seeing it is a challenge, but we're working through it, and I'm hoping they will really see the benefits out of it. This is kind of our biggest outbound process flow. We have, as I said, our direct marketing business, which is the biggest part of this. And so you can see there is just a great deal of effort that one single order goes through, from the order itself to a delivery, all the way through into packing and all the way out onto the truck and then goods issuing. It's quite involved, but we can see it in every single place that it goes through. A few of the enhancements. We tried to keep EWM as standard as possible, but there are some things that are unique to our business that we just had to go ahead and make a change to. One is our quality management pieces that we did. EWM offers a lot of functionality in the quality areas. We basically added on to this, and so basically we could put products automatically on some incubation holds and remove, because we do have with fruit some oddities where you have to let things sit before you can even transfer them. So if they come straight off the trees, we can't automatically transfer them out to one of our other facilities. And so this allows us to do some of those things. We obviously had legacy system interfaces because we still have legacy systems. As you know, we got rid of a lot of them, but we did have to do those. The World Pick Face in one of our facilities, this was an enhancement we made to replenish their running lines and right by their docks to make based on the order quantity instead of based on actual orders, so that it's always replenished to a maximum bin quantity. Some small enhancements that were just more for user usability. We put the wave description and the wave number on the RF. We use those quite frequently to direct our drivers where to go. Small little enhancements like that made it a lot easier to switch over from the old system to the new. And then we have many different stock removal rules based on what type of document is happening. And so based on which document it is, it will call a different stock removal. And so that was a baddie we put in. And then the production replenishment tool, which was basically our production areas have a limited area where they can hold product, raw material. And so even though we may open a production order for a week, this is so they can schedule it by a couple hours of production, because there's no way that they could take in that full, week-long raw material. I kind of mentioned that our migration went very, very smoothly. It did. And that I really do count that as what we did to prepare for it, and all of the steps we took. We started on the late Thursday afternoon after close of business. We extracted all our data from our previous WMSs, made sure we had everything scrubbed and into the files we needed, and then we started the full system setup, all of our configuration and transports, and then we started loading all the master data, doing all of our validation, had our inventory loads signed off by finance, and then we turned the system over to the business at 1 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. We did that for controlled processing. We started with just one truck going out of each facility and a couple of small production orders. And then we ramped it up as we made it through the week. Lessons learned, always the most important thing. We had early informational training that LogiStar provided to our users. They came in and gave us, a basic overview of here's what the system is. It was invaluable for them, the users, to see the system and see what we were going to. The reporting requirements, don't leave them. They always go to the end. Define them early in Blueprint so that the users know exactly what they're going to need before you get too far down the road. The master data cleansing, it drives everything. We cleansed master data and did many different trial runs of loading it in. And if we hadn't, I don't think we would have been as successful. You also need the willingness to accept the change process. We had a senior vice president who championed the project, and without that, everyone saw what, that this was going to be a great thing, and so it led everybody else. Test all of everything over and over, exception processing, error handling, all of those things. We could have done a lot more of it. We did a lot, but I don't think there's ever enough exception processing that you can test. And then the volume testing and hardware sizing. We had a real challenge with that because we have to size our hardware for the December timeframe when we're shipping so much out of the system, even though we're not going to see those volumes at any other time of year. So the volume testing was very, very important. We ended up upping our hardware after we did that volume testing. So that's the end of my presentation. I'm going to turn it over to Gavin to go ahead and ask if there's any questions, and we'll answer as we can.
All right, great. Thank you, Heather. So we got some questions coming in. Please feel free to chime in and add on any clarification questions and keep them coming into the system here. And we'll answer as many as we can within the time frame here. One question that we have is for Harry and David. Was your installation implemented as a standalone solution or within ECC?
Well, our installation is running on the SCM platform, integrated within ECC. So it is a separate server from ECC, but the integration is all very, very tightly interwoven with ECC back and forth.
Okay, and I'll just add kind of a follow-on question to that. And even though it's a decentralized solution, you've got a separate server for that. Is that at each location, or is that centralized?
That is centralized. So at all of our locations, they're all coming back to our data center at our headquarters.
Yeah, and just so folks are aware that it is basically you can run it embedded on ECC. You can run it decentralized, and once it's decentralized, you can have a central location, or you can have a server located regionally or at each distribution center, depending on really your requirements, uptime, et cetera. Another question probably posed for Heather. What are the differences in skill sets to support the SAP solution versus your previous WMS solutions? So
our previous solutions were a a lot of times they were vendor-driven. We weren't able to make a lot of changes to them. EWM, I have a full development staff for all of the SAP applications, and so the skill set is ABAP, it's object-oriented ABAP, so it makes it a little more challenging than just standard. But as long as you have an ABAP developer, that person can go ahead and do the changes within EWM.
Right. And is Harry and David using interleaving?
At this point, no, we're not. We really are taking some baby steps into a few things, and so there's processes that we want to get to, but we just have kind of held off to get basic functionality and let everyone manage the change process.
Okay. Thank you. Question probably, I guess, maybe for Rod. Does EWM run on HANA?
Great question, Gavin, and thank you for that one. Yes. So for those on the call, HANA is our high-speed in-memory appliance that basically speeds up processing in just phenomenal ways. And so we have enabled EWM on HANA. And what that means in layman's terms is that the processing speed, the analytical speed is probably 10 to 100 times faster, depending on your environment, using this on HANA and with the in-memory computing. So yes is the answer.
Okay, thank you. And I guess this might be kind of a two-point question. Does EWM integrated with your TMS? So I guess maybe Heather, is there integration today with what you're doing, and then maybe a general question for Rod in terms of whether or not it's integrated with SAP TM.
So we aren't running SAP TM right now, so we don't have any integration between our basic transportation management and EWM.
Okay. So thank you, Heather. So from a solution perspective in our supply chain execution platform, EWM and transportation management are now integrated. So there is a seamless workflow between processing the transportation orders and warehouse orders within the two. And the configuration would be, depending on, if you think about the three-legged stool visual, it just would depend on how you would want. So the integration's there. From your business process perspective, do you go from order management to warehouse first and then the transportation, or the transportation first and then the warehousing? So certainly we give everyone the flexibility to do that, but it is the latest versions of EWM are integrated to transportation management.
Great. And Heather, it says you mentioned master data is important. Is it more important now with EWM than before? Has things changed, or is that just a general statement?
No, it's much more important now than it was before, and making sure the master data in ECC is correct to make sure that what flows down into EWM as far as weights and everything is absolutely correct. So yeah, it's much more important. The users are finding, they really need to keep on top of all of the changes to master data.
Okay. And then how difficult was it for your users to migrate to EWM from a change management perspective?
EWM is much more complex. So from that point of view, it was a challenge for them to just change processes. We tried to keep a lot of processes as similar as we could, especially for our RF users. So for them, that was probably the easiest transition with RF users. For the people that it was probably the most difficult were our master users, like what we call our WMS specialists. So those are the people that know the system the best. And for them, they're the ones that have the good majority of the difficulty. And we're finding it takes a higher skill set of people to be able to run it.
All right, thank you. I'm kind of missing a couple questions here. Let me try to read them. Are all Harry and David warehouses run by Harry and David, or any outsourced or run by 3PL?
So we do have, during the season, open up some seasonal facilities that are run by 3PL. We do actually send our employees out there to manage those facilities. Those facilities are not EWM controlled, but they are SAP controlled. So we actually have all of the inventory and everything within SAP ECC.
Okay. And just to add on to that, there is functionality within EWM to support full 3PL processing. Many of our customers, many of the deployments in U.S. and North America are in a 3PL environment, with many of them with the customer-owned system, where the 3PL is providing the labor with the customer system. And then as well, SAP has customers out there that are transportation logistics customers, typical 3PLs, where EWM is their solution, and so they're providing the software and the manpower in the environment. And there are specific functionalities around ownership of stock to support multiple customers within a warehouse. Got another one here. I'm gonna read it out loud. I think I understand the question. Did Harry and David consider SAP EWM? What functions in EWM are using that are not in WM?
So yeah, that was one of the major considerations. They said when we went we implemented ECC the first time, there wasn't the full functionality for all of the RF and all of the receiving on an HU that we wanted, and so that was really the reason we chose not to go to just straight WM, because that was originally the plan. But as we started the analysis of it, we realized that from a business point of view, it just wasn't strong enough.
Yeah, and a couple things there that Heather had talked about that are EWM-specific functions. Labor management is certainly one of the bigger items that is not available in ERP WM. And then when Heather was talking about the process-oriented storage control, that function is also part of EWM, where you essentially can map the system to match your physical process. And when you take a look at Harry and David, in their one facility, they've got multiple warehouses where product moves by a truck or by a fork truck between buildings. And to facilitate that with multiple steps, the process-oriented storage control can have not infinite, but I think it's 99 or 999 steps along the process to support that, so you can track every step of the way, no matter which user's picking up that product. Do you have customer truck pickups at your location? I mean, dock scheduling. So whoever wrote this, if you don't mind, if you want to add in some additional clarification there, but I think in general, kind of answer for Heather a little bit is that yard management is being used to support dock door assignment, but I don't believe you're using dock appointment scheduling or this appointment scheduling at this time. Is that correct?
That's correct, because we have yard management and scheduling running at our Eastern DC. We don't have it at our headquarters. And we really don't have a lot of customers that come pick product up most of ours we deliver out to our customers. So it's really being managed more for our internal processes than for any customers.
Okay. And there is a solution, separate component called doc appointment scheduling that is integrated with EWM to provide a portal for carriers, vendors, customers to schedule appointments as well. So that it integrates with the appointment scheduling that's available in EWM as well as a transportation module. Question here, I think it was kind of answered as well. Is there a retail solution for EWM? And maybe Rod, or go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that Harry and David is a retail customer, so we don't treat it any different than our manufacturing orders, or I mean our manufacturing and our wholesale distribution pieces.
Okay. And there is, and retail in general is embedded within the solution. If you take a look at the slide that Rod had showed earlier, you'll see some of the specific functions such as merchandise cross-docking, units of measure specific stock, order allocation. So there's, I think it was back in version 5.1 or 7.0 that SAP had made a large investment into retail specific requirements. And with that, recently SAP's also come out with the AFS integration for EWM. So that's the apparel footwear solution to support the article and product matrix to support that within EWM. Probably only have time for a couple more questions here. One is a very easy one is Harry and what version did Harry and David go live with?
Let's see, we went live with 7 Enhancement Pack 2.
Okay. And I believe now general availability is open for 9.0 and 9.1 is in ramp up, I believe. Is that, Rod, do you know if that
is correct?
That's correct. Okay.
And that is, we are looking at doing our upgrade at some point here just to get some of the added functionality that's available in 9.1.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I think we're about out of time here, so might have a question or two that are open that we will respond to as well. And again, as you see the email address on the screen, please feel free to provide or request any more information or any more questions. If you do have questions for Rod or Heather, if you please go ahead and submit those through that same email address, and we'll forward those along. So with that said, I'd like to thank everyone for your time on the call. Special thanks to Heather and Rod for supporting this and sharing all this information. And to everyone on the call, thank you and have a good rest of your day.